September 17, 1942. Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Nichols walked into an office building in Lower Manhattan with an impossible assignment. General Leslie Groves had just taken command of the Manhattan Project the day before, and his first order was simple: find uranium. Lots of it. Nichols needed hundreds of tons to build an atomic bomb, and American scientists had no idea where to get it. German forces controlled Europe's richest mines in Czechoslovakia. Canadian deposits were remote and slow to extract. The entire American atomic program was about to collapse before it began. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happened in that meeting would change the course of the war and usher in the atomic age. Nichols had come to meet Edgar Sengier, a Belgian mining executive who ran Union Minière du Haut-Katanga from exile in New York. Nichols asked politely if Sengier's company could supply uranium or from their mine in the Belgian Congo. The question was desperate. American physicists estimated they needed over 1,000 tons of refined uranium to produce enough fissile material for a single weapon. Nobody knew where to find it. Sengier's response became one of the most stunning moments of World War II. You can have the ore now. It is in New York, 1,000 tons of it. I have been waiting a long time for your visit. Nichols emerged from Sengier's office holding a handwritten note on yellow legal paper. The United States had just acquired 1,200 tons of the world's richest uranium ore, material sitting in a Staten Island warehouse for 2 years, unknown to anyone in the American government. Without it, there would have been no atomic bomb in 1945. The question isn't how America won the atomic race. The question is, why did a Belgian businessman ship a fortune in uranium to New York 2 years before anyone asked for it? Edgar Sengier understood danger before American scientists grasped uranium's potential. Born in Belgium in 1879, he graduated as a mining engineer from the University of Leuven in 1903 and spent decades building Union Minière into one of the world's dominant mining companies. By the 1930s, his Shinkalabwe mine in the Belgian Congo was producing the richest uranium ore on Earth, material containing up to 65% uranium oxide. Canadian mines produced, or with 0.02% uranium. Shinkalabwe was a geological freak, a concentration unlike anything found before or since. For years, uranium was worthless. Union Minière extracted radium for medical applications and sold uranium for coloring ceramics. Thousands of tons piled up beside the mine, discarded as waste. Then in December 1938, German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strussmann split the uranium atom. Within months, physicists understood they could build weapons of unprecedented power. In May 1939, British scientist Sir Henry Tizard visited Sengier in Belgium with an urgent warning. Germany was preparing for war, and uranium could become catastrophically dangerous in enemy hands. Shortly after, French physicist Frédéric Joliot-Curie approached Sengier asking if he would participate in French efforts to develop a uranium fission weapon. Sengier listened carefully. He understood what others had missed. Uranium had transformed overnight from industrial waste into the most strategic material on Earth. Germany invaded Belgium on May 10, 1940. Within 18 days, Belgian forces surrendered. Sengier, operating from Brussels, made rapid decisions that would shape the next 5 years. He created African Metals Corporation, Afrimet, as a subsidiary to handle mineral sales from New York. He relocated himself to Manhattan while Belgium fell under Nazi occupation. And in September 1940, he ordered half of Shinkalabwe's uranium stockpile, approximately 1,200 tons of 65% pure ore, secretly shipped to New York. The shipments arrived in November and December 1940, stored in steel drums on Staten Island. Sengier told no one. Not Union Minière executives in Belgium. Not the Belgian government in exile. Not American authorities. The uranium sat in Warehouse 2030 for 22 months. Only Sengier and a handful of employees knew it existed. In September 1940, America wasn't at war. The Manhattan Project didn't exist. Roosevelt had authorized preliminary atomic research, but the program consisted of small university teams working with grams, not tons. Sengier shipped 1,200 tons across the Atlantic based purely on warnings from British and French scientists, without compensation, guarantee of sale, or board approval. The uranium remained hidden through 1941 as Germany conquered Yugoslavia and Greece, invaded the Soviet Union, and declared war on the United States. It sat untouched through the first half of 1942 as American scientists debated whether building an atomic bomb was even possible. Then in August 1942, the Army Corps of Engineers created the Manhattan Engineer District and appointed General Leslie Groves to transform theoretical physics into weapons. Groves faced immediate crisis. His scientists needed uranium. Lots of it. Canadian mines at Great Bear Lake could supply refined ore, but extraction was slow and transportation difficult. The richest deposits sat in Shinkolobwe, in the Belgian Congo, controlled by a government in exile, flooded since 1939. Groves had money, scientists, and industrial capacity. Everything except uranium. Nichols began searching. He contacted the State Department, which mentioned Union Miniere. He received tips about uranium stockpiles, but found leads inconsistent and unreliable. Then Thomas Finletter, a State Department official, told Nichols that a Belgian businessman named Edgar Sengier had contacted him claiming to possess uranium or the American government might want. Finletter didn't know why the military needed uranium, but he knew Nichols was involved in something secret and urgent. He suggested Nichols visit Sengier personally. The meeting occurred one day after Groves assumed command. Nichols traveled to Sengier's office in Manhattan, introduced himself, and asked if Union Miniere could supply uranium from the Congo. Sengier asked when Nichols needed delivery. If that were not impossible, Nichols replied, "I would say tomorrow." Sengier's response stunned him. The ore was already in New York, 1,200 tons of it. Nichols could begin hauling it away immediately. They would negotiate price later. Sengier pulled out a sheet of yellow legal paper and wrote a contract by hand. The Staten Island stockpile now belonged to the United States Army. Everything else could be worked out by lawyers. Nichols later described the moment in a 1965 interview. Sengier knew what the hell we were doing. He just said, "I think I know what you're doing, but you don't need to tell me. Just assure me it's for military purposes." Sengier had been following French nuclear research before the war. He understood uranium's potential. He had waited 2 years for someone from the American government to knock on his door. The ore was pure beyond anything American scientists expected. Shinkolobwe uranium contained 65% uranium oxide. After the war, the Atomic Energy Commission considered ore with 0.3% uranium oxide a good find. Sengier had delivered material more than 200 times richer than standard mining ore. Without it, General Groves later wrote, "We simply would not have had the amounts of uranium needed to justify building the large separation plants and the plutonium reactors." The transfer happened immediately. Army trucks began hauling steel drums from Staten Island to processing facilities. Within weeks, Mallinckrodt Chemical Works in St. Louis refined the ore into uranium oxide, then uranium hexafluoride. The material flowed directly to Oak Ridge's gaseous diffusion plants. The first 100 tons went to Canada for processing at Eldorado's refinery in Port Hope, Ontario. But 1,200 tons wasn't enough. Groves needed more, and the only source was Shinkolobwe itself, closed since 1939, flooded, and located in Central Africa during a global war. In late 1942, the United States sent Army Corps of Engineers teams to the Congo to reopen the mine. They pumped water from flooded shafts, expanded airfields in Leopoldville and Elizabethville, and built port facilities in Matadi to ship or down the Congo River. By 1943, Shinkolobwe was producing uranium again. Between 1942 and 1944, the mine supplied an additional 30,000 tons of uranium ore to the Manhattan Project. Sengier's contribution remained secret throughout the war. Security restrictions prevented public acknowledgement. On August 9, 1945, the day America dropped the second atomic bomb on Nagasaki, Groves invited Sengier to Washington to meet President Truman. "I present to you the man without whose assistance we could not have accomplished what we did," Groves told the president. In 1946, Sengier became the first non-American civilian awarded the Medal for Merit, the highest civilian honor the United States could bestow. The ceremony was held privately in Groves' office. Despite official recognition, Sengier preserved his anonymity. As journalist John Gunther later wrote, "Probably not one American in 100,000 has ever heard the name Edgar Sengier." The strategic implications extended far beyond World War II. Soviet intelligence had infiltrated the Manhattan Project by 1943, stealing atomic secrets that enabled the USSR to test its first nuclear weapon in 1949. But espionage couldn't steal geological deposits. Sengier's uranium gave America a head start the Soviets spent years overcoming. The Shinkolobwi mine continued producing uranium through the early Cold War, supplying material for America's expanding nuclear arsenal until Congolese independence in 1960 led to the mine's closure. General Groves later described Sengier's stockpile as a freak occurrence in nature that has never again been found. Without it, the Manhattan Project would have faced delays measured in years, not months. German scientists controlled Czechoslovakian uranium, but Allied bombing and transportation disruptions strangled their atomic program. The race wasn't won by superior physics. Germany had excellent physicists. It was won by access to raw materials, secured by one Belgian businessman's decision to ship 1,200 tons of uranium to New York in 1940 without knowing if anyone would ever want it. Sengier retired in 1949 and spent his final years in Cannes, France, dying in 1963 at age 83. In 1948, scientists named a newly discovered radioactive mineral, sengierite, in his honor. The Shinkolobwi mine is now sealed with concrete, a cleanup site in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The uranium that powered America's first atomic bombs was extracted, refined, and transmuted into weapons that were used twice and never used again. The atomic age had many architects: Einstein's theories, Fermi's reactor, Oppenheimer's calculations, Roosevelt's authorization. But it also had a Belgian mining engineer who recognized in 1939 that the world had changed, who shipped a fortune in uranium across an ocean based on warnings from scientists, and who waited 2 years for someone to realize what he'd done. Strategic advantage flows from preparation, intelligence, and industrial capacity. Sometimes it also flows from one person's ability to see what others miss, and the courage to act on that vision before anyone asks. So what do you think about this moment when preparation met opportunity? Did Sengier's foresight matter more than all the scientific genius at Los Alamos? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden story, give this video a like. It helps more history enthusiasts discover the untold decisions that shaped World War II. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the moments that changed history. There are so many more stories like this waiting to be told.